The Atlanta Braves continue to struggle to open the season, dropping their record to 2-9. A team that was expected to perform well this season might be on the outside of the playoff picture going in. Will they be a team that decides to sell at the deadline and just cut their losses for the season sometime around the All-Star break? We shall see. We'll also dig into some of the better success stories around Major League Baseball. What could the future hold for teams like the Angels, Marlins, and others who are off to better than expected starts? And of course, what's going on with Vlad Guerrero Jr. and the Toronto Blue Jays? And you know it's Wednesday. That means it's updated MLB Power Rankings tonight here at the Upside. And welcome into the MLB Hot Stove Daily here at the Upside Sports Network. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down at the bottom of the screen, and that thumbs up goes a long way to helping out our channel. If you want to be notified when we go live, be sure to hit that subscribe button. It means a lot to us here. Or you can follow us over on X at UpsideSN. We do share when we do go live as well there. And on Facebook, Upside Sports Network is the name. All right. It was a tough day anyway for me watching Luka Doncic return to Dallas and basically go for 45 points and just dominate in every phase of the game. Dallas just looked listless for the majority of the game. They gave it their best shot, but understandably they're without Kyrie Irving. Anthony Davis couldn't do anything, and let's just say for the entire second half, even when Dallas made a few runs, I just couldn't get excited about the team. I just can't get excited about basketball anymore after that trade, and it'll be a while before basketball is watchable for me again. So I know there's a lot of Dallas area sports fans that were thankful for the Texas Rangers finally getting back in the win column today against the Chicago Cubs. Their offense finally, and I mean finally, woke up for the first time since the start of the season. Was it the best game in human history for the offense? Absolutely not. But it's the first time we've actually seen the Rangers offense act like the Rangers offense we expected to see coming into the year. Now, is this a banner day by any stretch of the imagination? No, but Corey Seager did hit a couple of home runs. Josh Young continued his hot start coming back from the injured list. Wyatt Langford, of course, being on the injured list. They needed some offense to be picked up by these guys. Simeon finally got in the act a little bit with the offense. He still needs to go a little bit further here. Same thing with Jake Berger. Jock Peterson was not in the lineup, and Kind of mystifying plays once again by Leody Taveras for the Texas Rangers. It could be coming to the end here once Wyatt Langford comes back from the injured list. If Kevin Pillar continues to play this well, they may decide to move on from Leody Taveras sometime around the trade deadline as a cost-cutting move, and just because they need to do something better both in the outfield right now. Defense was his calling card, and really he struggled at that now over the past couple of games. Sure, it could be just a bad couple of games. Everybody has them. But when that's your calling card anyway, and you're inconsistent at best offensively, that part had better be locked down tight every single game. And he's shown he's not really there yet. Maybe it's just playing in a windy city. Maybe. We'll have to see how it goes. But he's going to have to improve his play here if he's going to stay on the Major League roster for the remainder of the season. But good to see the Texas Rangers get back into the win column. A good game overall. Imanaga pitched well by and large. Had some struggles towards the end of his outing anyway. Gave up a few runs there in the fifth inning. But overall, just a pretty good game. But Texas finally awakens their bats just a little bit as they prepare for a tough test out there in Seattle tomorrow. Welcome in Anthony, Holly, Master Vin Man. Appreciate you guys joining us. Nice win for the Rangers today. I was in the bleachers with the polar bear suit on. I saw your comment as I was loading up the video, and I was watching the Rangers broadcast. There was a gentleman wearing I guess you'd call it a Cubs coat anyway, with kind of a bear hood anyway, with the jaws of a bear anyway. I halfway wondered if we'd be able to see in the stands. I'm halfway wondering if that was you now after you said that you had a polar bear suit. But the jacket anyway was a brown jacket anyway. So if you're wearing a polar bear suit, literally a polar bear suit, like a white one, I don't think it was. But just made me think of you there, Master Vinman. So I hope you got to enjoy the game, even though your Cubbies did not win. I was hopeful that we'd see a little bit better game as far as the pitching side of things. From the Cubbies, because I wanted to see a little bit better test, especially in those middle innings there. And I think the pitching location was a little bit off at times for Imanaga. Wasn't his best start, but he was able to get through about 4-ish innings before he ran into some trouble there. But good on the Texas Rangers for finally getting back in the win column, as I mentioned. Cubs look very good so far. Offense, this is one of the few times we've seen them so far not hit in a game so far. But the pitching's been a nice development there for the Cubs. That was expected to be their weakness going into the year, and so far their starting rotation has held up pretty nicely. With Steele going on the IL, be a question as far as what they do the next time he comes around. The bullpen's still a bit of a question mark there, but the offense certainly carrying the Cubs for the time being. Anthony, I'm happy the Marlins are playing well at the beginning of the season. I don't think it'll last. I really want to have faith, but I don't think it'll last till the deadline. I agree with you there. I think it's going to be short-lived. They do not have the horses in that offense to really carry this team. Pitching-wise, they should be more than fine, at least until the All-Star break. After the All-Star break, all bets are off, because that's when I expect them to pretty much gut the entire roster as far as their pitching that they have. I'm thinking this is just an aberration. That's my Marlins are playing this well. True, again, they are playing pretty well, but the offense will come back down to earth. They blanked the New York Mets today, 5-0. The pitching side, I don't really doubt the success there for the Marlins. It's the hitting that continues to surprise me. 5 runs on 10 hits. That's a little bit surprising for a team that's not expected to do much offensively. Ollie, it was good to get a win going into the off day. True, I'm excited to see how this team kind of grows. If Molly can continue to pitch this well, this rotation might just be able to hold it down and not need to make a massive addition at the trade deadline. They may only decide to go some type of a bench bat, some type of a center fielder, maybe even a elite closer if their rotation continues to play this well. But as you can see, even with John Gray out and Bradford out and Leiter on the injured list right now, they still have some depth that they can turn to. The question is it depth that's going to be able to win in October? Remains to be seen. Anthony, yeah, I think the trade some of our starters in the staff right now to give younger guys like Noble Mayer and Thomas White more playing time. Like I said, I think the Marlins' plan last year at the trade deadline was to sell as much as they possibly could and to get very, very young. Remember, the ask from the Marlins the past year and change has been guys in the neighborhood of 20 years old and younger, position players prioritized over pitchers, because they do have some really good pitching prospects that they can hang their hats on. They've always struggled over the past, 5-10 years now to really get that offense going. They tried making a trade for Luis Arraez to jumpstart that offense. Didn't work, as you can see. He has since been jettisoned out of there to the San Diego Padres, and he might be on the move again here in the next couple of weeks here. But for the Marlins, we've known this was the plan for over a year now, that they wanted to go ahead and sell at the deadline, sell their pitching, and go very, very young. Remains to be seen how long this good run of baseball will stay for the Marlins, but I don't think it'll last much longer, and then they'll fall back to earth just a little bit. How is Rocker doing for us? Rocker's been doing pretty well. Struggled in his first outing, but the Rangers stuck with him for 3 innings, gave him 1 inning more than what normally would have been given to allow him to get some confidence after giving up 3 in the first, 3 in the second. In that 14-3 rout there in Cincinnati. That 3rd inning, he came out and was able to get a shutdown inning. He carried that over into his next outing. We'll see how he performs here in a couple of days. I believe Jacob deGrom is the next pitcher on the mound for the Texas Rangers in a couple of days. Let's go ahead and check around the league and check around the scoreboard anyway. And then we'll do the standings for you guys. One of the longest games without a score anyway in baseball history. They go through 11 innings and don't get a single run on the scoreboard today between the St. Louis Cardinals and the Pittsburgh Pirates. In the 12th, the Cardinals finally take the lead. Pirates come back and tie it in the bottom half, and then the Pirates win it in the 13th. Pretty long game for very little offense in there. Time of the game was still very, very short considering it was a 13-inning game. I talked to you guys just a minute ago about the Marlins blanking the Mets there. As you can see, 5-0 was the shutout there. Marlins improved their record to 6-6, 500 on the season. Yankees, they basically go into the ninth inning anyway, leading 4-0 as they go to the bottom of the ninth. Tigers make it interesting in the bottom half there, but they're able to lock it down there and win 4-3 in Detroit, snapping a couple game losing streak. Rangers, as I mentioned, also snap a 2-game losing streak there, winning the finale and avoiding the sweep at the hands of the Chicago Cubs. Padres in a pitcher's duel, I guess you could call it. 2-1 is the final there in AAA ballpark in Sacramento. The A's lose. Padres just weren't able to get anything across the scoreboard. 12 hits in the game, just a ton of runners left on base. They need to improve at that as the year goes along. But already 6 saves now for Robert Suarez. Expect him to be a name that's going to be thrown around at the deadline as a cost-cutting move for the Padres, because they have a couple of guys they can turn to already in-house with significant closing experience as well. Orioles continue to struggle here out of the gates here, dropping to the Diamondbacks on the road 9-0. Orioles give up 14 hits in the game as well. Their offense not coming around once again for Baltimore. They're off to a bit of a rockier start than I think most would have anticipated. We all thought the offense was going to be just fine. So far has not quite been the case, and their pitching still leaves a little bit to be desired. Reds finally get their offense going here a little bit, but still fall in extras to the Giants 8-6, as the Giants improve to 9-3. Dodgers back in the win column once again, 10-4 now on the season as they take the finale against the Nationals 6-5. Astros lose again late in the game. They give up 4 runs in the 8th inning, 3 runs in the 9th inning, just the bullpen just crapping out on them. And Abreu's ERA rises all the way to 5 and change after the game. 7-6 though, Mariners take it. The bats finally awaken here for the Houston Astros. Starting pitching was fine, but the bullpen is where they had their struggle. So just another area of the game that's really failing the Astros. If it's not one issue, it's another. If it's not another issue, it's the third issue. They haven't been able to put together a complete game yet, and so far we can see it in their results. Right now they're 5-7. Mariners 5-8. I think that's 5-7. Are they 5-8 now? Yeah, they're still 5-7. Okay. Anyway, Astros get 10 hits in the game, so their offense was finally coming around here. But again, the bullpen failing them. Like I was just saying, if it's not one thing, it's another for them. Guardians take it 3-2 over the White Sox, as the White Sox Cinderella story is significantly in the rearview mirror now. Benintendi going on the injured list as well with an abductor strain. Guardians still struggling to hit the ball, though. Only 3 hits in this game. Their offense is going to have to pick it up here if they're going to have a real chance to win some games for the rest of the season here. I do think their offense will improve, but this is a really low point in the season for them offensively right now. In 11 innings, the Blue Jays win 2-1 over the Red Sox. Good pitchers duel there. 6 hits for the Blue Jays in this one. Red Sox only muster 4 hits. Both teams are around that 500 mark. Blue Jays, though, 8-5 at the top of the AL East. And then, of course, you get the Los Angeles Angels, who got off to a great start to the season. They were leading the AL West to begin the day. Ultimately, they lose here on the road to Tampa Bay in another AAA ballpark. They are now 7-4 on the season and a full game behind those Texas Rangers. Braves continue to lose. They're 2-9 now in the season. They got enough hits, but left too many guys on base. Bryce Harper, anyway, with the late game heroics there, I believe, in that one. Bryce Iglesias not able to hold it down in the ninth versus the Philadelphia Phillies. Twins get the 4-0 shutout win over the Kansas City Royals. More up and downness in that AL Central, though. Twins offense coming through just enough. Royals blanked, really. They really weren't able to get enough runners on base today. Ryan with another great start for the Minnesota Twins. Final game, of course, the Brewers offense finally woke up anyway in Colorado. No surprise there. 17 runs on 13 hits. Good on the Brewers for finally shaking off the tough start that they've had to their season. But back to 7-5. They're trying to compete with the Cubs at the top of the NL Central. All right, let's try to catch up on a couple of these comments here. Marlins could get younger and better if they trade Alcantara to the Cubs before the deadline. We could actually look into that trade possibility here in just a minute for you, Master Vinman. They are, quote, all in on 2025. That would be a move that I would love for them. Do they have the pieces? We'll take a look and see if it would make some sense. Rumors about Anthony Rizzo signing with the Pirates or Detroit. Have you heard anything? I've heard some rumors anyway about Rizzo still looking to continue his baseball career. He doesn't want to hang it up. I have heard the Pirates because of their lack of offense. I've heard Detroit anyway because of the need for veteran leadership. And Rizzo is a very good clubhouse leader. I think it'd be a good fit there on a winning ball club. Cubs, I don't think really have a fit for him right now, but there's, of course, the nostalgia that might bring him back there. But I haven't heard any other specific team other than the ones you just mentioned. I know that there were some advocates talking about the Yankees could use another guy in the clubhouse. They don't need somebody like that at this point. They need somebody who can be a multi-positional, versatile defender, somebody who's an impact bat. Rizzo does bring a little bit with the stick, but no longer the type of impact that they're looking for. And certainly he's not a third baseman. He wouldn't have a spot on that Yankees lineup. A couple other teams have been mentioned anyway, but none of them that actually had any legs or that are worth repeating. But let's go ahead and check in on the standings from around Major League Baseball through Wednesday's competition. Blue Jays 8-5 lead the AL East. Who would have thought that 2 weeks ago entering the season? Yankees and their offense carrying the team so far. Pitching also pretty decent at times, but you can definitely see the need for a Garrett Cole at the top of this rotation once you get to October. Red Sox struggled out of the gate. They're losers of 3 straight now, kind of the streaky Red Sox, if you will. 6-7 on the season. Their offense starting to wake up here a little bit. Pitching has been a little bit of a rough spot for them, but overall, I think they're going to be a good team. I think they're going to be one of the top 5 teams in the AL before it's all said and done. Tampa Bay got off to a decent start this year. They're kind of coming back to the pack a little bit here. 4-6 in their last 10 anyway. Run scoring has been the hard thing for them. Pitching has been significantly better than expected. It's going to have to be their calling card if they hope to stay in wild card contention. And of course, the Baltimore Orioles off to a 5-8 start. Not looking pretty anyway. They're 3-7 in their last 10. Run scoring a little bit low compared to what we expect from them, and the pitching not quite as good as thought of anyway going into the year, even considering the loss of Corbin Burns. AL Central, Tigers continue to lead the division anyway after starting the season 2-4. They're 7-3 in their last 10 anyway. Good on them. Run scoring starting to come around for them. Pitching has been their calling card as well. Royals just a game behind them. Out in the AL West, the Texas Rangers back on top after the Angels took a momentary lead in the division. They have a 9-4 record going into the off day. They will be in Seattle on Friday, and I'm excited to see how Jacob deGrom pitches there in Seattle. Seattle's always been a tough place for the Texas Rangers to pick up victories. We'll see if they can pick up at least 1, maybe 2 out there in Seattle, even with the issues the offense does have there in Seattle. They just somehow seem to figure out the Texas Rangers every single time they go to Seattle. We'll see if that changes this year. Angels, like I mentioned, got off to a great start to be in the season, 7-3. Losing today anyway, their Cinderella start to the season might be starting to slow down right around now. Astros, A's, and Mariners, all teams with significant holes on their teams currently. We'll see if some of those teams fix their issues over the next few weeks. I think the Astros will be one team that's able to fix those issues. I think the Astros are still a very good team. I still picture them in the wild card spot on the American League side. I think it's just a matter of time until those bats start to wake up and catch up to where the pitching has been for that starting rotation. And their pitching is going to get healthier as they go through the season. Anthony, would you be willing to give up Josh Young, Anthony Gutierrez, Sebastian Walcott, and Alejandro Ozuna for Sandy? No, not a chance. I know Josh Young has a depressed trade value right now. I know Sebastian Walcott is through the roof. I'm not giving you Ozuna as well. As much as I'd love to have Sandy Alcantara on this team, there's not a trade fit for the Texas Rangers. The only one that would really fit there would be Sebastian Walcott and other young pieces. They don't want MLB-ready talent anyway back there in Miami. They want to bottom out as a franchise, go into the draft with as high draft position as they possibly can. But I do think that Sebastian Walcott is going to have his name thrown around quite a bit at the deadline if the Rangers are on top of the division for a significant piece like Sandy Alcantara. I just don't think they'll be willing to pull the trigger on something like that. I do think they'll add some starting pitching. Remember the year they won the World Series, they went out there and added Max Scherzer. Didn't stop there. They went out there and still added, after getting the Scherzer deal done, Jordan Montgomery and Chris Stratton, who brings you multi-inning relief and some starting ability as well out of that Ranger bullpen. Ultimately, it allowed them to go on to the World Series and win the title that year. We'll see if they decide to do something similar at this year's trade deadline. Anthony, I don't know if it is, but I do not trust Toronto. I'm not sure if it's the pitching or the consistency around Vlad Jr. I'll agree with you there. I think they've gotten off to a better than expected start, but this has got to cure a lot of ills around that team. Solving the issue of his extension, you don't have to worry about the trade rumors all day, every day. For the rest of the season here for Vladdy Guerrero Jr., what's going to happen in the offseason. Those issues are now quelled. And now the issue is, you said you're all in on 2025. You make the deal to bring in Anthony Santander, Jimenez, and others. Is this a team that you feel comfortable with trying to win this year, or do you think they're going to try to add more pieces? If they're still at the top of the division, I would expect them to try to add more pieces at the deadline, even rentals. Thank you for the super chat there, Master Vinman. Really do appreciate that. Just appreciate the baseball talk and the work you do. Thanks, Michael. Maybe I should wait to see where you rank the Cubs tonight. You'll be pleasantly surprised with where I put the Cubbies. I was kind of low on the Cubs going into the year. I did not trust their pitching staff. I thought their offense would still be lacking some run scoring there. Bullpen, I thought, had some issues. And while some of that is still true, I think the Cubs have seriously addressed the questions about their offense for the time being. Kyle Tucker being named NL Player of the Week anyway certainly goes a long way to helping out matters there. But your Cubbies, I think you'll be happy with where we're going to be putting them tonight. King, welcome in. If the Rangers were hitting, they would be undefeated. Yes and no. If they were hitting, they'd be somewhere in the neighborhood of like 11-2, 12-1. But the game against the Cincinnati Reds, where they lose 14-3, I'm pretty sure that would still go down as a loss. But maybe they don't throw Garabito in that game. Maybe they keep the run scoring to around 8-9 runs instead of in the 14-run stratosphere. But either way, that's make-believe land, and here on planet Earth anyway, they're 9-4, off to a very good start to the season, and I'm excited to see what this next couple of weeks here over the course of the month are going to hold, and then we'll have a good idea of just how good this Texas Rangers lineup and rotation can really be. On the NL side of things, just checking in on the standings here. Phillies 8-3 at the top of the division. Mets 8-4 after a tough loss. Both teams 7-3 in their last 10. But they're going to be facing some relatively easy competition the rest of the week, so they should continue their winning ways. Atlanta against the Philadelphia Phillies, the A's against the Mets. Marlins 6-6 to start the year. I don't think anybody had that on their bingo card, but good on them. And then, of course, the surprise of the season so far, the Atlanta Braves 2-9. Nothing going their way. Ronaldo Lopez shut down for basically 4 months. You got Profar down for 4 months due to the suspension. Nobody really hitting for that Atlanta Braves team. Bullpen issue, starting rotation, question marks, depth concerns. Really nothing going their way right now out there in Atlanta. And, of course, Ronald Acuna hopefully would have been back at the end of the month. That's not going to happen. We got that news before opening day that he was likely going to be back at the end of May, maybe early June. but we'll have to see if this team is too far behind by the time he comes back for it to really matter for the Atlanta Braves. Cubs out in front in the NL Central anyway, half a game lead over the Brewers. 7-5 are the Brewers, 9-6 are the Cubbies, but again, the offense carrying the day for the Chicago Cubs. 96 runs already scored this season. Cardinals got off to a nice start to begin the year, but they're 3-7 in their last 10, starting to come back down to earth. Reds just continue to have head-scratching performances both offensively and by that pitching staff. Inconsistency reigns there in Cincinnati. And, of course, Pittsburgh just can't get out of their own way offensively. And then pitching, it's been a little bit of a blight for them early in the season, especially in that bullpen. Padres in the surprise there in the NL West currently lead their 10-3 record so far. Run scoring has been nice. Pitching has held up very, very well for them. Giants, of course, a surprise as well, 9-3 to begin the year. They face the Yankees here, so it'll be a tough test for their pitching staff and if their run scoring can stay up to par there. Dodgers, a team that we thought was going to have a chance to break the best record in MLB history during the regular season, off to a 10-4 start. They get off the schneid anyway and take that finale against the Nationals earlier today. But Shohei Ohtani and company, I think, are still in very good position to go on a little bit of a run here. Tough test, second time they faced the Chicago Cubs anyway. They won the 2 games that they've played in the International Series. We'll see how they face up now, or how they match up now a couple of weeks later into the season. Diamondbacks also 7-6 to start the year. Pitching is a little bit surprising that it's not been a little bit better, but the offense still has been pretty decent so far. We'll have to see if their pitching staff can kind of keep these things under control and avoid losing games that they really shouldn't be losing. Rockies, of course, bringing up the rear there at 2-9. No surprise there. But those are your standings right now around Major League Baseball. We'll do one little trade here before we get to our power rankings, like you mentioned. What would it take if the Cubbies were to look at Sandy Alcantara? Try to get rid of these ads real quick. All right, we'll do the Cubbies. Marlins, Sandy Alcantara goes to the Cubbies, 53 mil. Remember, we're looking for guys that are 20 and under. Position players are the priority. So Balestros would have to be the first one to go. First one we see 20 and under. Rojas would have to be the second one to go. Third would be Melendez. And you're already in the 2 million range. So looking at those pieces, how close are we? Not even close. So they would have to include a third team to give younger talent to the Miami Marlins to meet their asking price. But remember, the Dodgers don't have to include anybody else. They can overpay with all their young talent, 20 and under, position player talent, and meet the asking price of the Marlins right now and blow out all of the other offers from teams like the Orioles, the Mets, the Cubs, the Rangers, whoever else might be interested in his services. Let's look at the Texas Rangers, since we had a comment about Sandy Alcantara and the Rangers possibility. Remember, Sandy Alcantara would be... let me go ahead and do this one. All right, there's Sandy Alcantara. Remember, we're looking 53, so what would it take? You could do a straight-up deal that includes Sebastian Walcott. If I'm the Rangers, he's got superstar written all over him. I would not include him in the deal. So who would be your next guy up? Yolfran Castillo, I would also hold him out of the deal, but you're already in the 6 million range. That ain't going to get the deal done either. So if the Rangers were serious about Sandy Alcantara, it'd pretty much have to be a straight-up deal, Sebastian Walcott for Alcantara. Anthony, how about Sandy to the Dodgers for Jose De Paula, Jordan Vargas? We did a couple of trades that matched the Dodgers to kind of wrap up the conversation here around Alcantara. The Dodgers are just a perfect fit for this trade. I think it's just a matter of time until this deal gets done. But looking at what they could include, De Paula could be the first one, but I think they're going to try to get Zaire Hope. I think his trade value is going to go significantly higher by the end of the year. De Paula could rise a little bit, but I think Zaire Hope is really going to be the riser here. He would be the one I would want if I'm the Miami Marlins. Then I would go down here. I would want both Vargas and Morales. If I'm the Dodgers, I say, no, you get one of those guys, not both. But if I'm the Marlins, I try to push for both. Just looking at the trade pieces there gets you already within $9 million. Let's see here. They could do George. They could do Lindsey. Finish off the trade that way. They could go even a higher price piece like a Quintero. Let's say they go George and Lindsey just to overpay and blow everybody else out of the water, giving them 5 big-time prospects to get in exchange for Sandy Alcantara. Would I do this trade if I'm the Dodgers? Probably not, because I'd be happy with the team I already have. This would be playing chess instead of checkers if you're the Dodgers, though. This would be about keeping him off of the New York Mets. This would be about keeping him off of the Chicago Cubs, keeping him away from teams that you could face in the postseason. Cubs have crowded outfield Owen Cassidy. Let's go ahead and pull up your Cubbies again. The age is the thing there as well. 22 years old. He's just a little bit older than what the Marlins are looking for. They're not looking for major league ready talent, and he's too close to the majors, I think, for the Marlins' liking. If they were getting somebody a little bit younger, even if it was a pitcher, I think they'd be more willing to do something like that. But I think he's just too old for what they're really looking for there in Miami. All right, let's get into our rankings for today and kind of check in and see where teams rank going into the next week of the season. How about a young Asian prospect that I put on the last comment? Ching Shin Koo. I did not look him up anyway. I'm guessing you're saying for the Dodgers. I'm not familiar with that one anyway. He's not in this drop down here anyway. I'm not familiar with him at all, unfortunately. All right, let's get back to our power rankings for today's date. So, we'll start at the bottom like we always do. Rockies were the bottom of the heap here earlier, so let's see where they will go into this week's power rankings. Right now, Rockies still one of the worst teams in the league, 2-9. Braves among those worst teams in the league, 2-9. On the American League side of things, the White Sox are in that same conversation here, but their pitching has been the bright spot there. Search up my position. I don't get anything there. Anyway, the White Sox, though, are a little bit better on the pitching side, so I can't put them back down at the very bottom here. So for me, I still think the Rockies hold down to the worst team in the majors so far this season. White Sox, their pitching staff has still been the surprise to me. The Braves are definitely going to tumble down here off of their performance so far. Nationals, to begin the year, they aren't much better, though, 5-7. I'd say they're better than the Braves right now, at least on their standings. The A's have a place, or have an argument anyway, to be above the Braves as well. But for me, I got to put the White Sox here. Even with their good pitching so far, I can't really count on them to hit to be able to do anything there. So White Sox go in at number 29. Braves, this is where they're going to go. They're going to go all the way down to number 28 based off of how poor they have performed so far this season. I'm putting them below all these teams that have gotten off to nice starts this season, or at least interesting starts this season anyway, because they've been just that bad. Question marks on their bullpen. Question marks with their lineup not being able to hit. Question marks and injury issues in that rotation. The suspension to Profar. This is not a good baseball team right now. So they go from a start of the season number 2 ranking all the way down to 28 in just 2 short weeks. All right, Nationals are going to be rising a little bit here. Pirates, though, are the team that's going to drop for me. Pirates just can't do much offensively. The bullpen has its issues, and the rotation isn't getting it done much better either right now. So for me, they fall just a little bit here down to 27. One of the teams that risen, as I just mentioned, is the Washington Nationals. They're going to be an up and down team for the majority of this year. They bump up a little bit based off of the early returns on the season here, and they go in at number 26. We'll see if they can break into the top 25 next week. Marlins are off to a decent start so far. Reds have had some really mercurial performances so far this season. Make sure I'm not missing any other teams. Twins are another team that's going to drop a little bit here in the standings. But I think the Nationals are still pretty solidly in that 26th spot. Guardians' offense is another thing that worries me for the rest of the season. I don't think they have enough offense there. Let me make sure I'm not missing anybody else. Orioles are going to take a little bit of a tumble this week, but not this far down. The A's could be in conversation here for number 25. Reds, A's. I think this is pretty much where we're looking. Reds and A's. I'm going to go ahead and keep the A's down here just a little bit, even though they've gotten better performances at times in their pitching. Their offense is going to be what carries them this year. But I think they're still behind the Reds right now because even with the inconsistencies with Cincinnati, I think they have the ability to solve their issues. Whereas the A's, we already know their limitations going into the year. All right, so the Twins, Marlins, Guardians are going to be in this next conversation here. Angels rise just a little bit based off of their performance so far this season. I don't think we can put any of those NL West teams in this conversation yet. We've already got the Pirates and Reds. Cardinals are in this conversation. All right, so let's go ahead and do, I think the Twins, while their pitching is pretty good, it's been inconsistent and the offense has been limited at best. I think they're going to go down to number 23 here as they drop another couple of spots based off of last week. Let's see here. Cardinals are in this conversation. Mariners are in this conversation here. Marlins are in this conversation. I'm tempted to put the Marlins here at 22. Do I put the Marlins at 22? I think I do. Even with the solid start to the season, they rise a little bit. They've risen each of the last 2 weeks. If they have another week like this one, maybe they break the top 20. But for me, they're still on the outside looking in. I just don't trust their hitting to be able to do enough this year. Royals are another team that's been up and down, but to me, the Guardians have been worse. That offense has been terrible. Mariners got to be in this conversation here as well. Cardinals have to be in this conversation. Angels, Tigers, Brewers, all a little bit of a riser here. And I don't necessarily hold hard and fast to the records that we've seen so far, but I do want to take stock of where these teams currently are at. Kirby on the injured list. Their pitching's held up pretty well there in Seattle. We knew the issues going into the year were the offense. That's been the case. I think we still got them pretty fairly ranked from where they were last week. Cardinals, I think, have dropped a little bit off a cliff here. I'm going to go ahead and put the Cardinals, even with Nolan Arenado in town for now. I just can't trust them to be any higher than this spot right now. Giants, they're not this low. They're pretty good so far. They will fall at some point, but for right now, they're definitely in the top 15. Cardinals, we get them done. We already got 3 of the NL East teams. Brewers, they rise a little bit here. Let's go back to the American League teams here. Orioles, Rays. Rays had a nice start to their season, but they've fallen a little bit here. Their offense continuing to be the struggle there. I'm going to go ahead and put Brewers, Guardians, Royals, some combination thereof. Orioles have gotten off to a rough start, rougher than I expected. Do I put the Guardians or the Mariners? I'm going to go ahead and put the Guardians. because I trust the Mariners pitching staff a little bit more than I do the Guardians. All right. I think the Royals are in this conversation here. The Rays are in this conversation. I think the Royals, I think they drop a spot here this week. Angels are in this conversation. I think the Angels rise just one spot above the Mariners for this week. I think this is where the Royals pretty much stay. If I can type. Red Sox are going to be around this same spot here, but the Orioles are off to a worse start, though, and I trust the Red Sox to be able to come out of their tailspin a little bit easier. Rays have got to be in this same area here, so I'll put the Rays. Orioles here make a lot of sense. Brewers make a lot of sense. I think the Brewers will go here. They rise to the top 15. Dodgers, I think, are still in that number 1 spot, even with their 10-4 start. How high do we put the Tigers here? Do we put the Tigers above the Rays or above the Giants? I don't think so. I think this is about the right spot here for the Tigers. There we go. All right, to the top 13 here. Red Sox rise a little bit, mainly because of the falls of some of these other teams. I think this is about as high as I can put the Red Sox, though. Wait, did I miss the Orioles? Yes, I did. Orioles. Red Sox. Tigers. Then Red Sox, actually. Red Sox had a really tough start to their season as far as their schedule, so we knew they were going to come out of the gate a little bit lower. All right, let's keep it going here. Orioles drop all the way from 8 down to 14, so they're one of the bigger droppers this week. All right, let's see here. Anybody else I'm missing? I already got the Royals. Yes, okay. So I think the top 11, pretty much the same with the Cubs going in and the Orioles coming out. I think the Astros drop for the second straight week with their inconsistent play. They drop outside the top 10 for the first time this season. All right. Anybody else I'm missing here? Nope. All right. Time for the top 10. At number 10, I think I'm sticking the Giants. They go up one spot here. While they're off to a nice start, they certainly have had their fair share of cupcakes in this early start to the season. They will come back to earth a little bit here, but they rise for the second straight week. You think the Brewers are better than 15, at least better than the Orioles? I just don't trust their pitching staff at all. I think I trust the Orioles pitching staff more than I do the Brewers, at least at this point in the season. I can trust them about as far as I can throw them, and I don't trust either one very much right now, but I trust the Orioles a little bit more, and I trust the bats of the Orioles a little bit more than I do the Brewers, at least at this point in the season. Anthony Michael, I don't know what it is. I don't care. Toronto's record, I think they're 13 or 12 for some reason. Well, the Blue Jays have been a nice surprise here in the season. I will say that. I do not trust them once we get to October, but for the start of the season, they played a little bit more consistently than some of these other clubs. With that being said, this is pretty much right where I think the Blue Jays are, right in front of the Giants, not too much higher, not too much lower. They're right in that same mix there. Now, the Cubs, their offense is fantastic so far. Their pitching has been the worry there in the bullpen specifically, but their rotation's kind of solidified itself. Now, Steele going on the injured list, I can't put them too much higher. So the Cubs, for the first time this season, go all the way into the top 10. They find themselves in there at 8. All right, Diamondbacks up and down performances with a tough schedule to begin the season. They made their way into the top 5 last week. They'll do a little bit of shuffling here. Let's see here. I think our top 7 teams here are all pretty much the same clubs. Dodgers to me are still really easily number 1. I don't care about their 4 losses. I think they're that good offensively, rotation, bullpen. They've got it all. They'll figure it out one way or another. I have no qualms about them right now. That one easily penciled in at number 1. Mets and Yankees, I think they're very much in the same spot right now, up and down here early in the season, as are most teams around Major League Baseball in the year. But I think the Diamondbacks had a little bit more warts than the other 2 teams, and I think the Diamondbacks drop out of the top 5 this week. They drop back down to 7, where we had them in our preseason or spring training power rankings. Mets, I do think, climb here just a little bit. Do I put them above the Yankees? Do I put them above the Padres? Kind of hard to put them above the Padres. Padres have been so good so far this year. Only 3 losses. Phillies, they look really good as well. I think I'm still going to keep these teams pretty much in the order that we have them in right now. Phillies, I think, hold down number 2. Padres will hold down number 3. Let's see here. Now we got the Rangers, Yankees, and Mets in that 4-5-6 combination. Just when I thought I was going to have the Rangers drop a little bit because of their offense finally woke up, and they got consistent pitching performances out of guys that had question marks going into the year. So up and down, as you can see. Yankees, their bats have kind of come back to earth a little bit here. But I still think they're a hair above where the Mets are currently. The Mets pitching has been great so far, but I don't think I can trust it. But do I give them the nod with how well their results have been the first 2 weeks over the Yankees? That's the question. The bats are the inconsistent part so far for the Mets. That will come around. I just trust the Yankees pitching, though, more than I do the Mets. As good as that performance has been so far, I think the Yankees are still the better team right now. If they were to if they were to go and play at a neutral site, I think the Yankees would win a series against them. So I guess by a tiebreaker, I suppose, I put the Mets in there at 6. I think I put the Yankees in there at 5. First time they make it into the top 5 this season. And the Rangers still hold on as the best team in the American League for the time being at number 4. Not too bad. You can kind of see the ebbs and flows of the season week by week, how these teams kind of jumble themselves around. Pretty solid bottom little group of teams here that aren't going to really change a whole lot. Braves, the one team that fell really the most this week. Second biggest faller was who was it anyway? I forgot. I just mentioned it. Was it the Orioles? I think it was the Orioles who dropped 6 spots out of the top 10. So the Braves and Orioles, some of the biggest droppers this week. Angels, one of the biggest risers, going from 24 up to 18. Cubs, another one of those big risers, going from 13 all the way up to 8. Guardians falling back quite a bit as well, going from 14 to 20. Cardinals 15 to 21. Marlins rising for the second straight week. They began the season outside of the top 25, down there at 28. They are currently right at 22. We'll see if they break the top 20 next week. But overall, not a bad power ranking. Dodgers easily still the best, number 1. Phillies, Padres, Rangers, I think are pretty solidly your 2, 3, 4. I think your 5, 6 is a coin toss between those two teams. Diamondbacks, if they get better pitching performances, they could easily be right back in that top 5 next week based off of how good they've been so far. Cubs, if they continue to play like they have been, they might rise once again next week as well. Giants, I think they're going to be poised for a little bit of a drop next week based off of their early start. I think they got off to a nice start here, but I think they'll start to falter here. Astros should be a team that rises next week as they start to get a little bit more consistent performances. Same goes for the Red Sox, and I do expect the Orioles to be able to right the ship here relatively quickly. But overall, your top 5, Dodgers, Phillies, Padres, Rangers, and Yankees for the first time this year. All right, appreciate you guys joining us. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe if you have not already. Goes a long way to help us out here. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. The hearts in the chat are awesome. I do appreciate those. I really appreciate that super chat, Master Vin Man. If you guys want to support the channel, goes a long way to helping us out. So, we aren't a huge channel or anything like that. We don't have 18,000 people watching at any given time. But we have a very active group of people that like to comment in our chat and have some fun with us. So if you guys are new here, be sure to hit that like and subscribe. If you want to send us a super chat, always thankful for that. And follow us over on X at Upside Ascent if you want to be notified when we go live. Same thing on Facebook, Upside Sports Network. All right, we'll see you guys again tomorrow night. We'll probably have another late one. I'm going to try to settle into this pattern anyway of late ones. I keep trying to do it earlier, and it just doesn't happen for one reason or another. So it looks like we're going to stay with this later pattern as far as these videos go. So around the 11 o'clock hour, when most of the games have gone final, is generally when we'll be going live. It's kind of nice with the new with the pitch clock and everything that most of these games are over by the time we actually come on to the air. But again, baseball give us a nice reprieve anyway, especially for those Dallas area sports fans that just completely gutted anyway by the Luka Doncic return to Dallas. Luka anyway was celebrated like a conquering hero when he came back. Tribute video, crying, etc. I was catatonic for the entire second half, even when the Mavericks were playing well. I just couldn't even muster the energy to even clap once. I'm not necessarily the most active, rah-rah guy when I'm watching a game anyway. I'm the type of guy who likes to, watch the play, watch how certain picks are happening on the floor, watch baseball for, I used to do the whole scorebook, the scorecard thing anyway, and while I still do that sometimes, I'm still looking at the game for the intricacies of the game, where the players are playing at, if they're shading one way or the other, situationally, how their pitches are doing, the velocity. I'm paying attention to all those different aspects of the game. And while I do cheer for my team and all that kind of thing, I don't necessarily act like a drunken sailor when I'm watching a game. But just watching that entire second half, I just basically sat on my hands and just tried to make it through the entirety of the game. By about the 8-minute mark left in the fourth quarter, I knew the game was over. It was just going to be a slow, winding trail down. Dallas made a nice run to get back in front, and immediately Luka comes back in the game, and they go on like a 9-0, 11-0 run, and the game's over. Luka is that good of a player, and absolutely, Holly, fire Nico. Don't really like to advocate for people losing their jobs, but the power-hungry Nico Harrison deserves that more than anybody else that I've seen. Just a power play deserves a power play of equal proportion here. Your power play move did not work, backfired on you, and he should be gone as a result. The ownership issue, I think, will be another thing that I would want to discuss after they get rid of Nico Harrison. But I can't tell you guys how much I appreciate you guys with the baseball chat after watching that tough game. Took a minute anyway, just to kind of get my bearings again. I think it's going to be a while until I'm able to watch basketball. It's just the joy is gone for me at this point with Luka on another team. You know, the modern NBA fan, of course, follows their player better than they do the team. I'll still be a Maverick fan, don't get me wrong, but I'm not cheering for the front office. I'm not cheering for the ownership group and whatever they might be trying to get done. Whereas before, Mark Cuban, whatever he touched, I would always hope for the best for. Cost plus drugs, absolutely fantastic. Couldn't be more in favor of something like that. Whatever the Adelsons are trying to do, outside of trying to bring the casino thing to the Dallas area, I could not be less invested in their success. And I hope that they do sell the team at some point after this move. Am I advocating it right now? No. Bigger fish to fry is first getting rid of Nico. Then we can focus our sights on the ownership there of the Dallas Mavericks. Who knows? Maybe Mark will decide to take over as the full-time owner of the Mavericks once again. I seriously doubt that. I think he's more likely to sell what's left of his ownership stake in the team after Luka is now gone. And it's going to be a tough 5-6 years, I think, until the Dallas Mavericks are relevant again in basketball. But really do appreciate you guys, giving me a place to, talk some baseball and get it off my mind. And for those of you that are Dallas area fans, feel free to join us and talk about some great things happening in Dallas area sports. Dallas Stars looking very good in the NHL. Texas Rangers, as you can see, are my top American League team right now, and hopefully can make another run to the World Series. For that fan base, for that market, I think they really could use something like this after basically ripping out their entire soul by trading away Luka Doncic. All right. Y'all have a great night out there. We'll see you guys again live tomorrow night around the 11:30 hour. We'll discuss some different trade possibilities, including Sandy Alcantara. We'll talk about some of the other injury news from around Major League Baseball and how teams are faring a couple of weeks into the season. Thank you guys so much for all your support. Master Vinman, thank you for the super chat. We'll see you guys again tomorrow night. Stay safe, everybody.